Prabhupada. It's better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reaction. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One's occupational duty is prescribed in Bhagavad Gita. As already discussed in previous verses, the duties of a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra are prescribed according to their particular modes of nature. One should not imitate another's duty. A man who is by nature attracted to the kind of work done by Sudras should not artificially claim to be a Brahmana, although he may have been born into a Brahmana family. In this way, one should work according to his own nature. No work is abominable performed in the service of the Supreme Lord. The occupation duty of a Brahmana is certainly in the mode of goodness, but a person is not by nature in the mode of goodness. He should not imitate the occupational duties of a Brahmana. For a Kshatriya or administrator, there are so many abominable things. A Kshatriya has to be violent to kill his enemies, and sometimes a Kshatriya has to tell lies for the sake of diplomacy. Such violence and duplicity accompany political affairs. But a Kshatriya is not supposed to give up his occupational duty and try to perform the duties of a Brahmana. One should act to satisfy the Supreme Lord. For example, Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He was hesitating to fight the other party. If such fighting is performed for the sake of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there need be no fear of degradation. In the business field, sometimes a merchant has to tell so many lies to make a profit. If he does not do so, there can be no profit. Sometimes the merchant says, "Oh, my dear customer, for you I'm making no profit." But one should know that without profit, the merchant cannot exist. Therefore, it should be taken as a simple lie if a merchant says he's not making a profit. But the merchant should not think that because he's engaged in an occupation in which the telling of lies is compulsory, he should give up his profession and pursue the profession of a Brahmana. That is not recommended. Whether one is Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra doesn't matter. If he serves by his work the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Brahmanas perform different types of sacrifice. Sometimes must kill animals because in such ceremonies. Similarly, if Kshatriya is engaged in his own occupation kills an enemy, there is no sin incurred. In the third chapter, this matter has been clearly and elaborately explained. Every man should work for the purpose of yajna or for Vishnu's Supreme Personal Godhead. Anything done for personal sense gratification is the cause of bondage. The conclusion is that everyone should be engaged according to the particular mode of nature he acquired, and he should decide to work only to serve the supreme cause of the Supreme Lord. Om Arganatvam Dasya Jananjanastakaya Sakshurimitam Jaina Adme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Vayam Kadamayam Danti Swapadantikam Panchakopaturvyasya Kripasinduvevacha Panam Bhavanayo Vaishnavevino Nomanaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasade Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Translation once again. It's better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than accept another occupation and perform it perfectly. duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reaction. So this is from the very beginning, Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna doesn't want to fight. And he gave so many reasons why he shouldn't fight. First of all, when he was before the battle, he asked Lord Krishna to place his chariot in the middle of the battlefield so he could see who was on the opposite side. Then, when he saw that his relatives, his teachers, his friends were on the opposite side, then he felt compassion and was reluctant to fight. Of course, who would not be reluctant to fight against one's teachers? Dronacharya was his teacher, grandfather Bhishma was the grandfather of the Kuru dynasty. So many others were there who were actually devotees of Krishna and Vaishnavas, but for some reason or another they had been maintained by Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra and company, so they felt obliged to fight against the Pandavas in the Battle of Kurukshetra. So, Supreme Lord Krishna, he came to this world 5,000 years ago, Vrichnaya Sadhanam Vinishya Duskritam, to annihilate the demons and give pleasure to his devotees. So the main purpose in coming to this earth, he comes every millennium. He came to relieve the burden of the earth. And the burden of the earth was because most of the Kshatriya kings on the earth were sinful persons, and therefore they were creating disturbance. So this whole drama of the creating this episode of the Battle of Kurukshetra was Krishna's desire. But even Krishna himself went to Duryodhana and tried to make a peace settlement. But Duryodhana was such a vicious and demonic person, he wanted to arrest Krishna. But of course he couldn't do that, and Krishna showed him his universal form. And still he was not reluctant to make a peace settlement. So there was no question of a peace settlement, and there was no question of the battle not being fought, because it was Krishna's desire. But Arjuna said that he didn't want to kill his relatives, friends, and also he thought he'd be responsible for creating Varna Sanskara, unwanted population, because without the woman would be degraded, and so many ways, so many different arguments he gave. But Krishna didn't accept any of these arguments, and finally after the 11th chapter, when Arjuna saw the universal form, he agreed to fight. And then again, at the end of this chapter, again he agrees to follow Krishna's instructions. So here this verse is saying that one should do one's duty. And according to Bhagavad Gita, it says, Chatur Varnam Mayastristam Guna Karma Vighagashaha. That Anyway, then Krishna says that he's the doer. He's the creator of this varnashram system. Chaturvayam yasrishtam guna karma vighaga shaha tasya kartaram apimam vidi akartaram avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature, work associated with them, four divisions used in society are created by me, and although I'm the creator of this system, you should know I'm yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. And it also, Krishna says, Yaginartha karma yantra lokayam karma bandhana tadartam karma kuntaya mukta sangha samachaha. Work done as a sacrifice of Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondages in this material world. Therefore, son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duty for his satisfaction, and that way you will always remain free from bondage. And also Krishna says, perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. No one can even maintain one's physical body without work. So we may ask these the four divisions, the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. These are four varnas and ashrams in the varnashram system. So the Brahmins are in the mode of goodness. Says that sometimes the Brahmins used to perform sacrifice and they kill an animal in the sacrifice. But when Lord Chaitanya when the devotees were stopped by the Qazi came to Navadvip, personally came, and he broke the Madanga and forbid anyone to do Sankirtan. And he said if anyone did Sankirtan, he would take away their caste and take all their possessions. So the devotees became a little fearful. Of course, Lord Chaitanya, Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can protect anyone. He said, my devotees never perish. So he organized a civil disobedience movement, and hundreds of thousands of people joined Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan throughout the streets of Navadvip. And when the Qazi sent his men to stop the kirtan, their beards would catch on fire. So they couldn't do anything. And then when they reached the Qazi's house, the Qazi was hiding upstairs because Lord Chaitanya came there in an angry mood with his disciples, devotees. But then the Qazi came and had a conversation with the Lord. And the first thing the Lord asked the Qazi, in your religion, why are you killing your mother and father? Which means the bull is like your father because he tills the earth, and your mother is, the cow is like your mother because she gives you milk and so many other things. So why are you killing them and eating them? And the Qazi replied that in your religion, Hindu religion, they also is the killing of animals. But Lord Chaitanya said, no, this is not a fact. We to sacrifice animals, but the animal is either given a human body or rejuvenated and giving a new body. So it's not actually killing. But in Kali Yuga, Kalo Sudra Sambhava, everyone is less than Sudra, so there's no real Brahmins, so this activity of sacrificing animals is forbidden. So the Brahmana, he's in the mode of goodness, he doesn't accept any kind of occupation, he just lives on the mercy of the Lord, like Sudama Brahman. He's a very poor Brahmin. He never asked anybody for anything. Whatever came on his own accord, that's what he accepted. But in the case of emergency, a Brahmana can accept the activities of a Vaishya if he's to maintain himself. He shouldn't starve to death or artificially try to live. So these brahmanas are in the mode of goodness, and they're supposed to guide the human society. Formerly, brahmanas would go to people's houses. They knew the science of the Ayurvedic science, medicine. They knew how to cure people, and they knew astrology, so they could forecast the future of people. But also that has also been pretty much degraded, almost lost. To find a good astrologers, it's very difficult in this age. So it says that Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, they shouldn't try to become Brahmanas because they're not in the mode of goodness. And then the Kshatriyas, they're in the mode of passion, and the Kshatriyas, they have to kill or go to the forest. Sometimes they go to the forest to kill animals, sometimes to practice hunting, and in the battlefield they have to kill the enemy. So that's their duty. And also in politics, diplomacy has to be there. Of course, Prahlad Maharaj, when he was a small boy, his teachers tried to teach him about politics and diplomacy. But Prahlad Maharaj was a Vaishnava devotee, and he wasn't interested in hearing these kind of things. So when his father asked him what did he learn from his teacher, he said that Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, that this was the path one should take to pure devotional service. Of course, Hiranyakashipu wasn't happy to hear that, because Hiranyakashipu was considered Lord Vishnu to be his enemy, because Lord Vishnu killed his brother Hiranyaksha. So therefore, Hiranyakashipu was in enmity or envious and wanted to kill Lord Vishnu. So he thought his son had taken the side of an enemy. But the Kshatriyas, there's no Kshatriyas in this age. There's no Brahmins in this age, no Kshatriyas in this age. But this is bygone ages, in time, in the Dwapara Yuga, in the past ages, there were Kshatriyas. And one time, one sage came to the father of Lord Ramachandra, and he was being disturbed. The sages live in the forest. They were being disturbed by some demons. So they went to Maharaj Dasarath and said, "We want to take your son, Lord Ram, to the forest to kill these disturbing elements." And they were brahmanas, and they were very powerful. They could curse anyone. They could have done the job themselves. But that wasn't their swadharma, or their duty as a Brahmin. Brahmins are peaceful, in the mode of goodness. So they had to take Lord Ramachandra there to drive away the disturbing elements. So this is an example of how one should do his duty and not try to do someone else's duty. And the Vaishyas, they're in the mode of passion and ignorance. And sometimes it says here, the Vaishyas have to tell a lie. When you go to someone's shop, they say, "For you we make no profit." But this is called a white lie. It's not a very, everybody knows they're making a profit. Everyone knows, but it's simply to pacify the customer. They say we're not making any profit, but of course they are. But they do this anyhow. This is their way of doing business. But it's not condemned. But generally, people should be honest and straightforward, and not tell lies unnecessarily. And then the Sudra is in the mode of ignorance, and he is supposed to work for the other classes. The Sudra, even if he has a bad master, he should, even if his duties are unpleasant, he shouldn't give up his being a Sudra. He shouldn't try to become Brahman or Kshatriya or Vaishya. Of course, these, by the mercy of a spiritual master and mercy of Lord Chaitanya, anyone can transcend these modes and become a Vaishnav. And a Vaishnav is not in any category. He doesn't have to, he can do any activity. So, but, so what's described here is that one should not give up his duty because they think it may be incurring sin. But like it says, the Kshatriya has to kill people in the battlefield, but there's no sin involved. If a man is in the army and he kills many people, and he comes back home to his city or town and kills one person, then he has to go to jail. But he can say, but I was in the army and I killed so many people in the war. But they won't accept that because he was acting under the authority of the government, under his authority, so his killing was not subject to criminal action. So the Kshatriya can kill people for because it's ordained in the Shastra, that's their duty. But someone cannot use that as an excuse to kill people unnecessarily. So these four ashrams are there, four varnas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. But in Kali Yuga, lo Sudra Sambhava. Everybody's less than Sudra. And when Srila Prabhupada, before Srila Prabhupada came to America, no one knew what was a Brahman, or what was a Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra. And even when Prabhupada was being interviewed by a reporter, the reporter asked, well, what about the caste system in India? And Prabhupada said, what caste system? He said, where does it say anything about caste system in the Bhagavad Gita? It doesn't. It's not people think this caste system is something that is a way of, prejudice, being prejudiced, and is not good for the people. But actually, because Krishna is the originator of this varnashram system, it's the proper way to organize society so people can live peacefully and cooperate with each other and in a healthy, peaceful society. But because there's no Brahmins, the Brahmins are considered the head, Kshatriya the arms, Vaishyas the waist, and Sudra the legs. But if a body doesn't have a head, then it can't function. So because there's no Brahmins in the world to advise the government, then there cannot be any proper government. Now, King Vena was born from a good father. He was in the line of Dhruva Maharaj, but he was angry and envious and deceitful even in his childhood. When Vena would play with his friends, if there was some argument, he would just kill them. So Vena was very terrible. But there was no king. His father retired before. There was no king. There was no peace in his country. So they had appointed Venu as the king. But he was not a good king. And wherever he went, people would run and hide because they'd say, here comes terrible Vena, because he would punish everyone so severely. But then the Brahmins advised King Vena how he should rule people justly and according to the Shastra. But Venu didn't accept their proposal, and he denounced it and said that he was the supreme controller and no one else should can tell him what to do. In other words, he was so proud and puffed up. So the Brahmins, they killed him by their words, by the mantra. So this is necessary that the Brahmins have to be there in human society to act as the brain for the kings. Just like Janaka Pandit was a Brahmin, he lived in a thatched hut. He was an advisor to the king. So Brahmins are generally poor. They don't take any salary, whatever they get in one day, they expend that day. They don't keep any bank balance. Prabhupada cites the example, one Brahmin was living in Krishnanagar in Bengal, and a wealthy man went to the Brahmin and said, Brahmin, I can give you whatever you want. What would you like? The Brahmin said, I'm satisfied. I just pick some tamarind leaves from the tree, boil some rice, I take that, and I'm satisfied. I don't need anything. So Brahmins are only supposed to preach and do good for the people. The Brahmins like Sukadeva Goswami, he would go to the householders and only stay long enough to milk a cow, because generally householders are considered poor-hearted, which means they think that they're maintaining their family is their first business and spiritual life is their second business. But this is only due to illusion, because society, friendship, and love, that is a temporary arrangement, will not last. And one comes in this world with nothing and leaves this world with nothing. So even if they maintain your family very nicely, you will not go back to Godhead if you're attached to your family. And the whole business, human life, is meant for Natevidu Saragatim He Vishnu, to go back home, back to Godhead, make a solution to this human form of life. So the Brahmins would go and advise people, but they'd only stay long enough to milk a cow. And so these are real Brahmanas, Vaishnava Brahmanas. When Krishna and Balaram were playing in the forest, the cowherd boys said to Krishna and Balaram, we're hungry. We didn't get any our breakfast, we didn't have any food. So Krishna and Balaram said, well, there's some Brahmins performing a sacrifice nearby. You should go to them and beg some food. But Krishna said, I'm a Vaishya, my father's a Vaishya. We protect cows, we take care of cows. And Balaram, you're a Kshatriya, so you better ask for something in the name of Balaram. A better chance they'll give something. So they went to the Brahmins, paid their obeisances, and said, dear Brahmins, Krishna and Balaram are hungry, please give us some food. But the Brahmins were so busy performing sacrifice, which is recommended in the Vedas, yajna, that not only they didn't reply, they completely ignored the boys. So the boys were very disappointed. They went back to Krishna Balaram and told him what happened. Krishna Balaram said, you should not be sorry, because this is what happens when you go begging. Sometimes you're successful and sometimes you're not. It's like when the devotees go on book distribution. Sometimes we just sell a lot of books and sometimes we don't sell a lot of books. So the results are up to Krishna. Krishna says, do your duty, but give the results to me. So we make the effort, but the results is up to Krishna. If you try your best, sometimes you're successful and sometimes you're not. So then Krishna said, you go to the wives of the Brahmanas and ask them for some food. So the boys went to the wives of the Brahmanas, paid their obeisances, and said, dear mothers, we are hungry, Krishna and Balaram are hungry, please give us some food. So the wives of the Brahmanas were not like their husbands. They had attachment for Krishna, and they immediately accepted the proposal, and despite any social etiquette, they left their homes, left their babies, left their household duties, and immediately gathered up all the food they had in their house and brought it to Krishna Balaram. And then the lady said, well, now that we've come to you, we can't go back to our husbands because they won't accept us. In Vedic culture, if your wife goes out of home, then she can't be accepted back. But Krishna Balaram said, no, this is not the case. Your husbands won't say anything. They won't chastise you. So they went back to their husbands, and their husbands actually understood that their sacrifice, whatever they were doing, they misunderstood the real goal. Attaining love for Krishna and serving Krishna was more important than doing sacrifice. So they were they praised their wives for being great devotees, but still they couldn't go to Krishna Balaram because they were afraid of Kamsa. So these things, it says, if one may perform all his occupational duties very nicely, but if he doesn't develop his love for Krishna or for the Supreme Personality Godhead, Shravanam hi kevalam, it's simply a useless waste of time. So Varnashram Dharma is there, but it has to be performed for the service of the Lord. This will, if there's any defect in one's service, then it'll become perfect. One will become purified. And also, Bhagavad Gita says, Tadvidi paripraptena paripasena sevena upadhyasyanti kegyanas ganastapa darshanaha. When it says, accept the spiritual master and inquire from him submissively, render service unto him, he can impart knowledge unto you concerning the truth. So, we are coming from the Malet Dash. Most of us are born in low-class families, engaged in all sinful activities from the very beginning of our lives. So how do we know what our nature is, or what our dharma is, or what we should do? So we don't know, but that's why we have to approach a spiritual master. So those who had the good, had the sakriti, or the good pious credits from past life, or even in this life, were able to meet Srila Prabhupada and join this Hare Krishna movement. And then in the Hare Krishna movement, one is engaged by the temple authorities according to his propensities, or whatever he likes to do. So the devotee should take the guidance of the spiritual master, and if he's not available, they should take the guidance of senior Vaishnavas, senior devotees, temple authorities, to engage in some kind of service. The idle mind is the devil's workshop. So we can't be idle. We can't imitate Haridas Thakur. We can't sit and chant all day long. We have to do service. And there's so many temples. There's 500 temples around the world, and there's so much service to be done in the temples. And also those who like to preach in the book distribution, Harinam Sankirtan, these services are available for everyone. When one takes initiation from the bona fide spiritual master, Guru Krishna Prasadi by Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of the bhakti seed is implanted in one's heart, and the Guru has to take the karma of his disciple. So at the time of initiation, if one follows strictly the 4 regulated principles, chant 16 rounds, then he's not incurring karma like an ordinary human being. We're hearing the story of Ajamil, and the Yamadus are explaining everyone in the material world, whether it's pious or impious, everyone has to be judged by Yamaraj. And due to their sinful activities, whether to be small or big, they still have to suffer reaction. But when one becomes a devotee, then there's no more karma, no more karma. One is not incurring karma as long as he's followed strictly. But one may ask why devotees become sick, why devotees get in accidents. This is prarabdha karma, which is karma from past life. It's like when you turn off the fan, it continues to spin for some time. It doesn't stop immediately. So one is free from creating new karma, but may have to suffer for past karma. But Lord Brahma prayed in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto of Krishna Bhagavate that nite nukampa shushukshamano, that the devotee, he accepts whatever suffering he has to go through, that he knows that's due to his past misdeeds. But he still goes on worshiping the Supreme Lord, offering obeisances from the core of his heart. And this way, Hidayabhak, he inherits the right to perform devotional service, to become Krishna conscious. So this is the difference. Working for sense gratification, working in the material world, you have to suffer reaction. But when you become a devotee and you work for Krishna, then there's no more reaction. So whether one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, he should still engage in the activities of the devotional service. And one should not, it says one should not give up his occupation, even if it's performed imperfectly or if there's some sin incurred. So if one is a householder, then he has to perform it. He has responsibility. Should not prematurely give that up. When Lord Chaitanya met the Brahmin in South India, he advised him to, the Brahmin said, "My household life is very disturbing to me, I want to go with you." The Lord Chaitanya rejected that. He said, "Yari Daka Tarika Krishna Upadesh." He said, "You just stay in your house, preach the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and this way your household life will not disturb you." So one can be a householder, one can be a brahmachari householder, vanaprastha or sannyas, but if he engages in devotional service, then there'll be no hindrance to his advancement. The whole aim of human life is prema pamartha mohan, to develop our love for God. So we should work in such a way that we're always engaged, 24 hours a day. It's just hearing, chanting about the name, form, quality, pastimes of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, because these are on the absolute platform. So in the very beginning, and the time we wake up in the morning to the time we go to sleep at night, all our activities should be centered around performing devotional service, beginning with the 9 process: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, remembering. And here in Vrindavan Dham, we have so much time. We should not misuse our time or waste our time in useless idle talk or on the internet or watching television or doing things that are against the principles of devotional service. We should utilize this time we should try to see a devotee who is advanced in Krishna consciousness. He does not like to waste his time. He's not a moment. When Prabhupada would take rest for 2 hours in the afternoon, he'd said to his servant, "Now I'm going to waste my time." But Prabhupada would sleep for 2 hours in the afternoon, 2 hours at night, and that was it, 4 hours a day. The rest of the time, he was 20 hours a day, he was engaged in devotional activities. So we can imitate Srila Prabhupada. The 6 Goswamis also, they only slept an hour and a half, sometimes not even that. And they only ate a handful of chickpeas every day. Raghunath Das Goswami, he would take a cup of chach, buttermilk, and he'd only eat every other day. But the Goswamis were lean and thin, but they performed their activities. Raghunath Das Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, praised his devotional activities. He said he was strict like the lines on a stone. And he used to offer obeisances 1,000 times to the Vaishnavas and 2,000 times to Vishnu Krishna every day, even though he wasn't eating very much. And the Goswamis, they were lean and thin, but because they were absorbed in the mood of the gopis and always in ecstatic love of Krishna, they could do these things. So we should follow in the footsteps of the Goswamis, but we can't imitate them. When following the footsteps, we should try to minimize our eating and sleeping, and especially on Ekadasi, we should try to increase our chanting, try to increase our hearing and chanting, and not misuse our time. And here in the Krishna Balaram temple, there's so much facility. At any time in the day, you can go in the temple and do kirtan. We have class in the morning, class at night. We have so many programs, so many seminars, so many things are going on that you can always be active in Krishna consciousness. So this is the essence of this verse, that one should perform his own occupation, but that was not possible in this day and age, but it was possible previously. Even Prabhupada's father was a Vaishya. He owned a cloth shop, but he was also a Vaishnava, pure Vaishnava. And he gave Prabhupada Radha Krishna deities when he was a boy. And one reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, he said, "Swamiji, at what age did you realize God?" And Prabhupada said, "You too can become Krishna conscious." No, then he asked the question again, and Prabhupada also gave another answer. And then he said, "Swamiji, I may be just steeping in ignorance, but I want to know, at what age did you realize God?" And Prabhupada said, "Oh, when I was 4 or 5 years old." And all the devotees went, "Haribol." So Prabhupada was an interested, a pure devotee. From his childhood, and his parents helped him by giving him Radha Krishna deities. Even though his father was a Vaishya, worked as a Vaishnava. He was also a Vaishnava, a pure devotee of Krishna. So whatever one's occupation, whatever one does, one should try to become a Vaishnava. Vaishnava supersedes a Brahmana. Prabhupada initiated people, gave Brahman initiation, and he was criticized for doing that. But so many places, Srimad Bhagavatam, so many places, Chaitanya Charitamrita, so many places in Chaitanya Bhagavat says even if one's born in a family of dog eaters, if he qualifies himself, if he takes up the devotion of the Lord, he can become a qualified Brahmana. One time, Advaita Acharya performed the pinda or ceremony for his relatives, and then he's supposed to call the Brahmins to feed them. Instead, he called Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family, but he was awarded the title Namacharya. But so Haridas Thakur said, "You can't feed me first because people will criticize you." But Advaita Acharya said, "You're better than 10 million Brahmanas." So even though Haridas Thakur was born in a low-class family, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami had accepted the posts in the Muslim government. They changed their dress, changed their names, were acting like Muslims, but Lord Chaitanya accepted them as the topmost Vaishnavas. So whatever position one's in, one should know that yajna has to be performed for Vishnu, work has to be performed, we have to perform devotional service, detachment and devotion must be there to get free from the bondage of material world and go back home, back to Godhead. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, it is said that in Kali Yuga everyone is Shudra, but in our society, can devotees be classified under 4 varnas?
No. Our society Prabhupada created a society of Brahmins. We're not divided in that way. But Prabhupada said that 50% of his work was not finished because he had not established Varnashram Dharma. So there's no Sudras, there's no Vaishyas, there's no Kshatriyas in our society. Everyone's a Vaishnava, and a Vaishnava can do any occupation, can do anything. He's not restricted. So the whole point is to come to the mode of pure goodness, come to the mode of goodness. Brahmas are in the mode of goodness. Shuddha Sattva, that's pure goodness. Not to stay in the lower modes. So we're not subject to these divisions. But people have to do someone has to do the administrative work, someone has to do if there's a farm community, someone does the farming work, cow protection is there, everything is there. But everyone is trying to become a first-class Vaishnava, first-class man. And that means no meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. Everyone must follow that and chant 16 rounds every day. This will put us in the mode of goodness, keep us above the modes of nature. So we engage people according to their nature, but everyone should try to become a first-class Vaishnava, first-class Brahmin.
Where's the verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita? I am neither.
Ham Vipro, Ham Vaishya.